All right. Think we are live. Ah, all right. Um, Let me reopen my chat. I need another app for that though. What a shame. Okay. Okay. Ah, I haven't done one of those in a while. So today in this Get Ready with Me, we have Mom claims mystery man said hola before knocking her out and stealing baby, but no one saw a baby. I just hope that it's not going to be as traumatizing as last time episode because that episode fucking disgusted and broke me. Like, what the fuck? I hate mankind. So, I took a pretty large break from watching true crime since that fucking episode because again it broke me and I hate mankind. Um yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Uh, uh, that thing was terrible, absolutely terrible. So we have another episode today, and yeah, let's pray that it's gonna be. I mean, it includes it has. We're talking about a child, so it's probably not gonna be okay. A baby. Uh, Morning, long time no see. Hello, Subboard. Welcome back. Okay, let's start. How I decided to become a nihilist, part 5,000.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Humans learn how to detect stress in other humans. Obviously, you have people who don't seem to be able to read a human's emotions well or at all, but humans typically, people guesstimate there's maybe like a 60 to 80% accuracy rate in which one human can detect stress in another human without hearing the very verbal cues of, I am so stressed out right now, which I don't know how great that is. Sometimes I feel like there are people who can't read the cues at all, but that's just a lot of room for error. However, dogs are able to detect stress levels for humans with a 93.75% success rate.
Oh, wow.
Stress and anxiety are the two emotions that dogs show the highest accuracy in detecting, as well as fear. Which actually is kind of sad because dogs have something called emotional contagion, which means when they smell a human's emotions, they can start catching these emotions.
That's why some dogs
Really?
are
Yeah, they can
depressed.
start feeling them. I mean, their ability to smell is exponentially better than a human's, obviously. For example, a human, you get a cup of coffee, you put a teaspoon of sugar in there, you can smell it. A dog, you get 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, put a teaspoon of sugar in there, they can smell it. If you were to have 752 apples in a giant pile, which I feel like would be as big as the state of Alaska, and you've got one rotten apple in there, they would be able to smell it.
I mean, that's why dogs are used to find cadavers. Their sense of smell is crazy. Dogs can even find cadavers underwater. Like, bitch, how insane is that? How insane is that? They can find underwater cadaver because their smell is that good. Like, oh my god. Now, obviously, the way to train a dog to smell a cadaver is quite interesting because obviously for ethical reason they can use real cadaver because that would be morbid and most likely disrespectful, for the dead, but they can do that. So food for thought. How do I know that? I just fucking had a read a book where there was a crime and they needed a dog to smell a cadaver. Anyway. Hello Nagato! How are you? Long time no see. Okay. This is gonna be a short stream.
They can sniff it out, which makes it easy for dogs to hunt babies. When you are a baby, your scent production is pretty uniform and strong. Usually, I thought it would be less because, you know, babies are so tiny. But apparently, babies shed skin cells quicker than adults. And as they're walking, crawling, as they're touching surfaces, their skin cells, they shed and the dogs can smell that trail. Their bland diets of just formula, milk, actually make their scent more consistent. But that doesn't mean that dogs can easily track infants. Every little factor matters. Even the quality of the scent. I mean, dogs don't just go around tracking any little human.
I'm about to watch an episode of True Crime that will most likely fuck me up. Yay! I like when things happen to children. I'm joking. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
What they do is they get shown a piece of clothing or a toy, and they use that as the focal point. This is the scent that I'm going to now chase. And that item is like the most important thing for a canine dog. First of all, it has to have been used or worn for at least a few hours, like the sweater. And it would have had to have been worn or used within the past day. Can't be longer than that.
Oh, wow.
And 3, it has to have not been touched extensively by other people, which is really hard for infants. You've got caregivers touching them nonstop, which would create what they call a scent cocktail. And it's actually very interesting. Like when canine dogs go out there to search for humans and even little babies, their canine trainers will even tell them to, it's like deleting scents almost. So they have to first smell the trainer, smell the officers so that they can just ignore that completely.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's very difficult. And maybe that's why these canine dogs are having a hard time tracking Emmanuel. Or maybe it's the fact that he's 7 months old, 25 pounds, and he had just been kidnapped. Emmanuel's mom, Rebecca Haro, she's telling the police everything that's happened. She's at this football game, this football practice with her husband, Jake Haro. So Rebecca and Jake Haro. Her husband, Jake, has a son from a previous marriage. That son is playing football. What he forgets is mouth guard. You can't play football without a mouth guard unless you want to spend the next few weeks tube feeding yourself a diet of mashed potatoes and popsicles. You're going to be missing a front tooth. Rebecca offers to run to the sports store nearby, grab a mouth guard. Jake is like, presumably he's like, okay, I'm going to stay with my son. Rebecca takes their 7-month-old son, Emmanuel, pulls up to the Big 5 sporting goods store. This is August 14th, 2025. A few weeks ago at around 7:30, 7:45.
A couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh.
By 7:47 p.m., deputies are dispatched, canine units are on the ground, helicopters are in the air circling this sports store. And Rebecca's story is very simple. Like maybe too simple. I came over here, I parked right at the edge of the parking lot. When I was driving over, I had smelled the baby had went to the restroom. So I said, don't worry, we're gonna change you. She parks her car, gets out the driver's side, goes to the back seat, opens the door, lays Emmanuel down next to his car seat. So she takes him out of the car seat, puts him down just on the seat of the car. She's about to change his diaper, and that's when she hears a strange voice right behind her. And they just say one word, hola, hello in Spanish. And then she says everything goes white. She says the whole thing happened so fast, she couldn't even really give investigators any sort of description on the kidnapper. She literally just heard hola, got knocked out, woke up, and her son is gone. Gone. Just like that. Just gone. By the next day, she's got this giant black eye, and she's begging the public on all these news stations to help her find her 7-month-old son. And the whole thing is so weird.
Why?
Like the fact that Rebecca said the attacker came from behind her. She only heard hola. She was caught off guard. She didn't even have time to turn around and see who it was.
What do you mean you can sense her voice? Stephanie? You can sense Stephanie's voice? How dare you? I adore her.
But the black eye is square in the middle of her eye.
So they hit her from the back and from the front?
No.
Oh.
She was only hit once. So did they like swing their arm around her like they're about to give her a back hug? Did they come from the side and swerve at her? It's just straight to the front.
Yeah,
How
that's
did she
weird.
not see anything? She didn't turn? She didn't see anything before being knocked out? I mean, I thought he came up from the side, from the back. Like, how would he punch her straight to her face and she doesn't see a glimpse of anything? She doesn't even know an article of clothing. Like, was he wearing a black hoodie? Was he wearing a white hoodie? Nothing. The initial public reception to all of this is uncomfortable. People are trying to spread the word of Emmanuel being missing, but at the same time, people are very creeped out about Rebecca. There is something about Rebecca that is just weird.
Really?
I don't know if it's her unsettling breathing patterns, the way that her voice gets super high-pitched out of nowhere and then drops back down, and then she's got this like very weird stare that she does. Or maybe it's the fact that nothing in this case makes sense. Rebecca claims her 7-month-old son is kidnapped in a parking lot by someone who is very adamant about greeting their victims first. It is such a ridiculous incident that almost everybody believes Rebecca is lying. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Until reports come out that someone has confessed to Emmanuel's murder from jail to an undercover cellmate. That's the report. But is it true?
What?
What happened to baby Emmanuel? And is this the dumbest fake story of a kidnapping? Or is it so bad of a story, so ridiculous, that it's doing exactly what the kidnapper wanted all along, which is put all of the suspicion on Rebecca?
Oh my God.
This is the ongoing case of Emmanuel Haro.
Ongoing? So we don't even know what happened yet? Oh, Lord have mercy. So he's dead? He was literally just born. She always looks like she's about to cry. Damn. That's sad.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Baby to Baby. They're a national nonprofit that provides children whose families face financial hardship with diapers, clothing, and all the basic necessities. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Today's case involves the abuse of a child, specifically an infant, so under a year old. If these types of cases involving young children are too difficult, don't hesitate to skip this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Secondly, there are lots of discussions regarding the justice and child welfare systems in the US that have consistently and pretty miserably failed children. And along with that, there's a lot of netizen discussions regarding unconfirmed details about this case. A lot of rumors, and there have been a lot of rumors that have been clarified by the sheriff's office of being like, no, why are you believing internet rumors? It's been a messy case, and it would be impossible to cover this without even telling you what's going on online. So there is just a lot of lack of confirmed details, and we want to be clear that when we mention some of these rumors, we're just going to tell you straight up, this is literally just a speculation that's being made online. So with that being said, let's get started. Acting coaches will notice things that the casual viewer of a movie just doesn't notice. They're going to nitpick their students because that's their job. The shoulders are not symmetrical. They're supposed to be symmetrical. It's weird. You think that they wouldn't be, but when someone is in a state of grief, everything is symmetrical. Usually,
Really?
unless they're predisposed to some sort of asymmetry in the face, all of their expressions are symmetrical on their face. Their shoulders are symmetrical. It's even to the point where if you were to lay your arm down on a coffee table and then rest your head on your shoulder, this shoulder usually doesn't slump down during grief. Maybe in depression or sadness, but grief specifically, it'll stay symmetrical.
That is weird. Really?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a thing. It's always symmetrical. I mean, most people. If only one side of the neck muscles are tense, it's usually not an accurate portrayal of grief.
Wow.
Is this like a body language thing, or is this like a acting?
It's an acting thing, but it's rooted in a lot of what happens in the brain when you're experiencing grief. And it's just been anecdotally, I mean, obviously case by case. I mean, some people are just going to have natural body shapes and forms where they can't really be symmetrical.
Got it.
But for a lot of people, it's symmetrical. Even with genuine grief, you expect a lot of irregular breathing. And a lot of it is going to be this gasping for air because you're very tense on the inside. So you want to always bring air in. Fake grief is interesting because you can almost tell that people hold their breath because that's what people will typically do to generate tears, and they will breathe out. Almost like sighs.
That is so fascinating.
Whereas real grief, it's inward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine if you're rating the newest release of an A24 movie, but why is the internet using this type of commentary to analyze and reanalyze a mother's literal desperate plea for help? Rebecca, her son, has been kidnapped in a parking lot. She's knocked out, unconscious. She's got a big, bulging black eye that's throbbing on her face. She's front news in front of the cameras, and the internet is collectively analyzing whether or not her breathing sounds like genuine grief, which kind of sounds insane
weird
until you watch the interviews. Rebecca is standing there in front of the camera. At times, her eyes kind of pinch closed. Other times, she's glancing from at one point on the floor to another area. It's a little strange. Her voice is shaky, but consistently shaky. It's almost like high pitched like this and shaky.
And I ran into Big Five and I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby. She said no.
She explains how she left her stepson's football practice to go grab a mouth guard for him, but she takes 7-month-old Emmanuel, and as she's about to grab him to bring him into the store, she smells that he needs a diaper change, parks the car deliberately near the edge of the parking lot. I don't know, maybe to change her baby's diaper in peace, I'm not sure. But she gets out the driver's seat, goes to the back, opens the door, takes him out of the car seat, places him down on the car, and she says,
I was gonna get the diaper and somebody said hola, and I didn't see nothing since.
Rebecca closes her eyes and her voice pitches upward. And it's almost like someone sucks all the air out of Rebecca because she just...
So you're saying that immediately when people watch this footage, they're already like, that is some weird behavior.
Yeah, and I mean, this is even before body experts, body analysis experts even jump into the picture. It's like straight off of TikTok. It's posted on KTLA, and people are just commenting, this is so weird. She's behaving very strangely. And she says, and this is another thing. Okay, see if you can point out everything that people point out.
I got him out of the car seat, and I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, hola, and that's all I remember. And I saw white. And a hearing sound, I fell on the floor. And I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked around my truck. And I ran into Big Five. And I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby. She said no. It was a happy boy. He smiled. Mackenzie loved to kiss him.
And, you know, she's asked about the baby, and she said he recently smiled. She says, bring him back, please. Okay. It's interesting that nobody likes this interview from the get-go, from the beginning. A lot of comments initially would start with, I don't want to be the one to say this, but it's kind of weird. Some point out that when she's talking, she sounds like she's trying to catch her breath by, again, pushing air outward, like a constant sighing, like constantly like this, but in a faster pace. A lot of acting coaches, body language experts, later they say, that doesn't even freaking make sense. Okay, side note, you know the drill. With body language experts, I will say, I find them as confusing, but as fascinating as the buoyancy of cruise ships. I understand that there is science behind it, that there is a method behind it, but every cruise ship is going to be different and everybody has a starting point. I understand it, but also I am a little wary of using it as the only thing.
I don't like body language
to say that someone is guilty. But when you watch this video, it is very weird. Body language experts say, again, she is sucking air. She's not sucking air inward. She's usually when someone breathes outward, they're trying to calm themselves down. And it's usually in a place of silence. But when you're emotional and you're trying to get words out and you're kind of panicked, which this is the situation, you're most likely going to suck the air inwards. As for her tears, people have pointed out the absence of any tears. But additionally, the whites of her eyes are not red. There's not really any mucus around her nose. And the whites of her eyes are actually very, very white, which just adds more suspicion to her story. However, I will say some body language experts also argue the opposite, that perhaps people have delayed emotional processing, mainly because they're still trying to digest and get through the shock, which would result in the lack of tears. However, those people that don't have tears, they typically don't look and sound like they're crying, just minus the tears.
It does make sense to change the baby. It does make sense to change the baby if you're going to change them in the parking lot, like kind of away from views from other people. I agree. But also, restroom have a table. Change the baby. Could have just changed the baby. She could have, But I mean, she was going to a sport store, like not a mall. I don't think she was going to the mall. I think she was going to like a sport store. So like, I don't think she was. I don't know. I mean, technically, you're right. Every restroom, I think, have like a baby changing thing. But I feel maybe because she was not going to like a usual place. I don't know. She was closing her eyes, which is a sign of distancing herself from what she's saying, meaning she's lying. Really? I have no idea what a Big Five sporting good is. We don't have that here. But I just think it's interesting that people automatically jump to, oh, this woman is lying. Like, it makes me slightly uncomfortable too because I'm like, I feel like mothers get vilified easily a lot. So I don't know. I don't want to believe that a mother. I really don't. I'm tired of hearing stories of mother deliberately like arming their child. Like it's. I'm tired. I want to believe that this woman is innocent for real. I really want to because I'm tired of hearing stories of women being garbage and mothers. So, oh.
They'll just talk normally. So it's very odd. There's lots of sniffling, but not a lot of mucus, not a lot of snot, not a lot of tears, or really anything. People also say that her word choice is very fascinating. She says things like, he was a happy boy, he smiled. Obviously, past tense is strange.
Oh, that's
she
not
also
good.
says things like, I fell on the floor. As soon as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I got him out of the car seat and I laid him down on the chair and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, hola, and that's all I remember. I saw white, I fell on the floor, and as soon as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked all around the truck and ran into Big Five, and I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby, and she said no. The first thing is it's very strange that she doesn't describe or explain any of the parts where she freaks out.
Oh,
I see.
boy.
She got up. There's no description of her state.
I hate the nitpicking, but at the same time, I guess it's true. If I put myself in the fucking shoes of a woman who just lost a child, who is the husband that are garbage, but it gets more traction when it's the mother, the villain. Yeah, because the thing with the husband is because if you ask any police officer, okay, any police officer, you could ask the most misogynistic police officer that you've ever met. If something happened to a woman, they will always look for the husband first because in most cases it's always the motherfucking husband. Like it's not even funny. It's bad. Like getting married increase a woman's chance of getting murdered. Like what the fuck? That's scary. That's actually terrifying. But it is true that when it's a woman, because we don't expect women to do that. We expect women to stereotypically speaking be what they're supposed to be, which is good mom. Like, how can you birth a fucking child and treat that child like garbage? Like, that makes no sense to me. I don't have kids. I don't necessarily want to. I'm not sure if I want kids. But if I have a kid one day, I don't think I can ever arm that baby. Like, it's gonna be my baby. It's my child. Your job is to protect that child. Your job is to love, protect that child, and make sure that nothing happens to that child. And you're gonna arm him instead? That Jesus Christ, bitch. Like, seriously? So yeah, it is more intense. But also going back to what she was saying, if I put myself in the shoes of a woman who just lost her baby, it's funny because back in theater school, I remember having to do a scene of a mother who was retelling the story of when her daughter died in her arm. And even in the script, I remember the mother saying something like, I panicked, I cried, I stopped breathing, I started running. Yeah, maybe she's right. I don't know.
A lot of interrogators and investigators have said that's one of the biggest ways to see if somebody is lying about their perspective. Because when you are in a heightened emotional state, such as you wake up after you've been knocked out in a Big Five parking lot and your baby is gone, instantly your brain is actually focusing more on internal perspective. So there's gonna be lots of emotions that seep through. It's gonna be like, so I started freaking out and I started screaming because I couldn't find my son and I was panicked. There's lots of like internal, so I thought maybe this happened, maybe that happened. So then I checked around the truck.
Yeah, like if you're making up a story, you probably will think of the train of actions. instead of like, oh, I'm feeling this way at this point.
Yes.
Oh.
And even the train of actions don't make sense because people are saying, why are you not just screaming like, help, someone call 911? Why don't you call 911 immediately? Why aren't you screaming anything? Also, the fact that you walk into the Big Five store and you have the time to go ask an employee, have you seen my son? Is very bizarre because your son is 7 months old. Your son is not crawling into the store by himself.
Facts.
None of that makes sense. Maybe if your son was 10, it would make more sense, but no, it doesn't make sense. Also, another thing with the internal POV is a lot of the times you have hypotheses that are in there. And she doesn't have that. You don't have theories. So people will say things like, I woke up and when I got back up, I was terrified. My heart was racing. I thought maybe someone hit me with a baseball.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Emmanuel fell out of the car seat.
Yeah.
So then there's like all of these, or I thought someone brought him in there because something ABCD, but it's not just then I walked on. I did this.
She's just a really bad actor, huh?
Yeah. Additionally, she just uses a lot of distancing language. Him instead of Emmanuel or even my son. It's weird. Also, the fact that she says she got up off the floor when she's outside in a parking lot, that would be the ground. Or when she set Emmanuel down on the chair instead of the seat of the car. Usually people will say seat, not a chair, when you reference the seat of the car. A lot of people thought that was strange. Some point out it could be the language barrier. However, others think, no, maybe this is her trying to pull from other memories where something similar happened. Not an abduction, but some sort of incident involving Emmanuel where she was knocked down onto the floor because clearly she has a black eye. Like she got this black eye from somewhere. And she's trying to reconstruct this new story around her previous emotions. That's the initial internet speculation. But more than that, people thought it was also weird that in 2 separate interviews, she mentions that she didn't see this alleged abductor. She didn't see what he's wearing. She didn't see his face. All she knows about the kidnapper is that he said, hola. But in the 2 interviews, her tone and cadence for hola are different.
Somebody said hola, and somebody said hola, and that's all I remember.
And if this is the only thing you have on the kidnapper, you would focus a lot about the voice, the tone.
Yes.
It sounded like he was a smoker. It sounded like he was older. It sounded like he had a husky voice. There's really no descriptions of the voice. Just he said hola.
Okay, again, so this happened. She called the police and the news reporter came.
Yes.
And they conduct this interview just like, hey, what happened? Tell me what happened. And she just did an innocent interview.
Yes.
With the news. And then everyone's like, you are lying.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Everyone.
Honestly.
And even the fact that this alleged abductor would even say hola, people don't believe that because why would you do that? You're trying to surprise attack someone and you say hello first before you knock them out. It sounds like something that only happens in the movies. Why leave the mother of the child you're abducting with the recollection of your voice to be able to identify you later? Why give her the chance to even turn around and glance at you?
Damn.
If someone talks to you, you're going to try and glance up and see who just said hola. Why even give her the opportunity? Why don't you just fully sneak up on her? It just doesn't make sense. There's also these little parts where she's out there and strangers are praying for her and they're placing their hands on the top of her head. And she just has very uncomfortable body language. In another video of Rebecca, she's standing there and she's holding hands with family members while a member of the community wants to pray for them. Her left hand is holding her mom's hand and Rebecca's right hand is free. And her thumb is scratching her middle finger. I've done this motion before. This motion I usually do when I'm really
Anxious?
Not anxious. It's like I don't really want to be at a location because maybe I'm anxious, maybe I have social anxiety, but it's not like this overwhelming, oh, I'm about to have a panic attack. It's just I feel very uncomfy. I feel weird. Maybe I feel like I look crazy and someone looked at me and maybe they think that I smell and I feel very uncomfortable, but I can't really get out of here. So my shoulders go up and I'm kind of scratching my middle finger and I'm like, it's just an uncomfortable situation. It's not anxiety. It's just, I feel weird. Maybe I feel gross and maybe they think I'm smelly. Like that's the vibe. I thought it was interesting because I have never done that motion when I'm under stress, panic, or anxiety. Like actual stress, panic, or anxiety. It's always kind of like, I just feel a little uncomfy.
I mean,
a lot of experts point out that that's not a self-soothing motion, at least in times of grief or panic. Usually, you will see palms on thighs. you'll see lots of people rub their chest or even touch their face or their hair. Research apparently shows that self-soothing mechanisms in high stress are broad, low-intensity stimulations of the skin. You're going to have large muscle groups. You're going to have your whole hand. You're going to have your whole shoulders, your chest. You're not going to have 2 fingers. And you're going to be rubbing a lot rather than scratching because you want to have low-intensity stimulation of the skin. You don't want something to be painful or even too intense because you're just not in that state.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is very strange, which means did Rebecca do something to Emmanuel? And why? And also, what about Jake Haro, Emmanuel's dad, who stayed behind at the football game? Does he not find her interview suspicious? If you saw your partner, the mother of your child or the father of your child or whoever, have these interviews, would you not look at them a certain way? Jake accompanies Rebecca in a few of her media interviews, and although he's clearly wasn't there during when this alleged kidnapping takes place, he's standing next to Rebecca and he's telling the news station, a police officer got on the phone and let me know what was going on. That's when I got hysterical. I started panicking. Some netizens felt it was more in line with internal POV, but then it gets weird. I guess Jake is asked about any distinctive features on Emmanuel, which understandably, Emmanuel is a very little boy. I get it. He's a little boy. There may not be so many distinctive features on him at this age, but Jake responds. He has a little lazy eye.
Hi, Dimples.
It's the only thing that's distinctive about him. He has no birthmarks. Beautiful, healthy baby boy, 7-month-old baby. I feel like there's got to be other things.
Yeah, that sounds very detached to describe your own son. No?
Yeah. I mean, I have 2 nieces, and I feel like even when they were 1 month old, you would try
very hard to describe your kid because like you're gonna give as much details as possible. Like, oh, they look like this, they have this feature, right?
Yes.
But you're saying his description is like that. That's it.
I mean, I feel like I would sit there and give a full description of physical attributes, but also he cries in the morning when ABC happens. He's very scared of the dark. He does this, he does that, but just nothing. He just has a lazy eye. I mean, I feel like there's got to be on other things. In another part, he says he was a healthy baby. He was crawling, he was kicking, he was playing with his toys. And I've listened to this clip so many times. A lot of netizens say that they hear it was kicking rather than he was kicking. I can kind of hear both, so I don't want to say definitively, but it's still interesting that none of these are personal attributes. It's just like random developmental check marks for kids. I mean, I think he could have ended with he's a healthy baby boy, but his personality was ABC. Here's this very specific thing that he would do and we miss him so much. It's just odd. Additionally, he also keeps using past tense. I tried to look into it. I couldn't find rock solid studies that are super firm. Oh, if you use past tense, that means you're guilty in a situation like this. But it is pretty well known amongst humans that relatives will typically use present tense for people that are missing. Even relatives in cases where their loved ones have been missing for years, they tend to use present tense. Clearly, this doesn't apply to every single person out there, especially when it's been years later. This is when it happens, when a relative is missing, a lot of present tense. But some families, even years later, will keep using present tense because one of the biggest things is they say that it feels like they're suspended in space. There's no closure. Even when authorities say they've been gone for 2 years, it's likely that they're dead. They still use present tense because you only remember them like that. There was no event where your brain can rationalize, okay, they are now gone. It's very difficult to say, but this is Jake Haro and Rebecca Haro less than 24 hours into Emmanuel being missing using past tense.
He was a healthy baby. He was crawling, he was kicking, he was playing with his toys.
In another interview, you have Rebecca and Jake both standing there. Jake is wearing a white hoodie. Rebecca is in short sleeves. And Jake is... he's strangely standing there holding up a missing poster for the camera, just constantly in front of him, almost blocking his torso. The missing poster has a picture of Emmanuel at the top, and under it in big red letters, it reads, missing kid, Emmanuel Haro, 7 months old. And in black, it says, please contact dad, Jake, Jake's phone number, mother, Rebecca, Rebecca's phone number. And we're going to come back to this because netizens think just missing kid is weird. To just say missing kid. It's very, again, distancing language. Instead of Emmanuel Haro, 7 months old, please find my baby. It's just like missing kid. Jake takes a small step towards the camera.
We come to you guys asking you to help us find our son. He was abducted last night from Big Five. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper.
Rebecca's in the background making these periodic noises of pain. It's like, she also talks very high-pitched in this one, and she says, "Don't hesitate to call."
Don't hesitate, just call.
His name is Emmanuel. He's 7 months old. And when they start getting emotional, both of them get this distant look in their eyes, as if they're just like looking into the vast beyond, into a black hole, a portal into a parallel universe, searching for answers. It's odd. I feel like maybe this would be more reasonable if their son had been missing for years, to have this very disconnected stare where it seems like they're just not here. But right now, it seems like a high intensity, momentum building, adrenaline rushing moment. Why are you staring off into the distance? When asked about any updates, Rebecca says, "No, we don't have any. They haven't told us anything." Jake states, "They said that they don't have any major updates." He mentions that there's a community search party at 4:30, and he says, "We're just asking you guys if you guys could help us, you know?" Rebecca's in the back. She's grunting. "Please."
This is what he looks like. It's just a baby. Just give our son back, please.
He was wearing a black onesie with a Nike swoosh on him.
Jake sounds emotional, kind of similar to Rebecca, but both of their faces are very scrunched up. However, it's hard to say if they're crying or not. "He's just a baby. Just give our son back, please." People have a field day with Jake's interview as well. They
Bam.
point out it's weird that he uses the word diaper instead of a diaper. It almost comes off intentionally. "I'm just a harmless man." Diaper is weird. It's weird.
Everything is so nitpicky.
Others point
though.
out that Rebecca and Jake don't look very close in the interview. Sure, they're both stressed out, but they don't seem like a unit looking for their son. They're not comforting each other, something that they're just on different wavelengths. I will say there is another video of them where they are sitting down and Jake is holding up the missing kid poster and Rebecca is recounting the events to the reporter of how someone said hola before she got knocked out. They're holding hands, but because the sides of their chair are pretty high, the way that they're holding hands, Rebecca's shoulder is like all the way up and her arm is bent very uncomfortably. It doesn't appear like they're holding hands to get comfort because it's not comfortable. One behavior analysis expert on YouTube says, "It's interesting because Jake is not comforting Rebecca. In fact, he seems more intent on engaging with the camera," which one could argue, sure, you do want to engage with the media because media will help get eyes on your case and eyes will help you look for Emmanuel. But in the interviews, none of them are really begging either. Usually parents of missing children, there's a lot of begging involved, begging, pleading to the public, the people, the abductor, the police, like God, it's just a lot of begging, understandably. But there's not a lot of begging. There's not a lot of, I mean, there is a lot of engaging with the camera, but not begging.
Bam.
At one point, Jake just straight up looks at the camera and states, "Whoever took our son, please give him back." And he does this and he wipes a tear off the side of his face. And people thought that was weird too.
God damn.
People say when you are initially crying, especially when you're standing or sitting up straight, sure, when you're laying down 2 years full of tears, everybody knows that song. But when you're standing straight and you first start crying, they'll usually come out in the inner corners. And then when your eyes are overflowing with tears, they'll start dripping from all corners.
Okay, so what does that even mean?
But he just like is wiping one tear from the side of his face, outer cheek. And there's not even a tear. He just wipes it.
Oh, he's looking. Oh,
Yeah. So it's like
he
even-
makes a gesture of wiping it, but it's like, how is there a tear from the corner of your eyes?
We don't even see the tear.
Yeah.
And if there is like the most microscopic tear that's not caught on camera, it would just be a weird placement for the tear to come out because it seems like it's his first tear to come out.
Wow,
Damn, we're doing tear therapy
okay.
now.
Additionally, the white hoodie that he's wearing is fascinating to people because this area is Cabazon. In near Los Angeles, it's where the outlets were. Do you remember? Like you would drive like, I don't want to say like 2 hours because there was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in Cabazon. Oh, is it 2 hours? I feel like.
And it's hot.
Not only is it hot, they were going through a record heat wave.
And he's wearing like a hoodie.
Yes.
Oh,
Why is he wearing a
What the
hoodie?
heck? Yeah.
Okay,
Some
that's
overly
weird.
enthusiastic netizens,
Maybe he
whether
sweats a lot.
understandably or not, are wondering if he's hiding something under those
Yeah.
hoodies, like wounds, because why are you wearing a hoodie?
That's
Facts.
more than weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. There's this interesting video taken by someone who was there with Rebecca and Jake right before the media interview. They receive, I don't know if it's a family friend, I don't know who it is, but they come in with a box of printed flyers, the missing kid flyers. It's in like a little paper box. Jake is handed it. He opens it up and he's staring at the sack of flyers. Rebecca stares at the flyers, stares at him, stares at the flyers, stares at him, just like darting her eyes back and forth repeatedly.
What's the problem?
It's like she's trying to gauge his reaction to the flyers, which people thought was very interesting because why are you not focusing on the flyers themselves? You're his mom. Wouldn't you want to make sure that everything that is necessary is on the flyers, that the phone number is correct? It's just weird. And Jake has this very stoic, expressionless face for what feels like 5 seconds, but it was probably like closer to 3. And finally, he starts looking sad. She then looks down at the flyers and starts crying. And it's only then that she has any sort of emotion. She's just staring back at the flyers, back at him, back at the flyers. It's weird. These interviews are so unsettling that people on the internet are instantly talking about how maybe if you want a 0 rating on IMDb, you hire these two because there's no way they're telling the truth. They're acting. This is an act, which means Emmanuel was never kidnapped, which means where the hell is he? And what did his parents do to him? That is the main sentiment. So much so that Jake's own sister comes out with her own TikTok where she explains the whole story in depth. She's trying to clear the air, just make people understand the real situation.
So she realized that he had went to the bathroom on himself. Of course, he's a baby.
People are like, that itself is weird.
Why?
What do you mean? Of course he is. Isn't he wearing a diaper? That's what happens when you wear a diaper. You use the restroom in the diaper.
She laid him down in the back. Her back was turned. She was about to change him. She was getting everything prepared. And she felt like a tap on her shoulder.
So now people are like, okay, now there was a tap on her shoulder. She turned around and all she heard was hola. So she turned around and then heard hola.
And before she could even, she could even see this person, acknowledge this person, whatever the case may be, he socked her in the face, and she ended up blacking out. He knocked her out, and she fell to the floor. And
that a lot of people have contentions with as well. Rebecca kept saying that she saw white when she was knocked out. A lot of people have reported that you typically see black. Yeah, and usually you see white before you faint or you get very woozy. But again, that could just be like a person-specific thing. But it was very random.
Next thing you know, as she came to, she woke up. She was looking around for the baby. The baby was gone.
Which again, just the direction of everything, it's like, okay, the baby was gone. She was looking for the baby.
She's a great mother. So everything you guys are saying about her, first of all, you don't know her, and show some compassion. Like she just had her son taken from her.
I think it's unfair to say that a lot of people didn't have compassion. That weekend, like I said, were record-breaking heat waves in the area of Cabazon. It was 105 degrees. This is very dry desert heat area. There's lots of dust everywhere. The National Weather Service even put out a statement to Cabazon residents: do not leave your children and pets unattended in cars. Car interiors will reach lethal temperatures in a matter of minutes. People were out there wearing t-shirts that read, "Where is the baby?" They're out there searching for Emmanuel while Jake is giving weird interviews holding up the world's most aggressively bland and emotionless missing kid flyer. The community is out there searching for Emmanuel. They don't believe Rebecca and Jake, but they're looking for Emmanuel, which is proving to be very difficult because in order to find someone, you should start with the last place they were last seen. But if Rebecca is lying, then where was Emmanuel last seen? And when was he even last seen? We don't even know that. Damn. The Yucaipa police released a statement. Canine scent tracking dogs were deployed, but the child was not located. No suspect information is available at this time. In the absence of any meaningful information to go off of, the internet starts listing off rapid fire questions like a full-on interrogation. There's so many holes in Rebecca's story that it's starting to resemble the surface of Mars more than reality, such as, I don't know, let's start simple. If you're already bringing Emmanuel into Big Five, this is what a lot of parents are asking, because you're not leaving him in the car, especially not in the midst of a heat wave, why not change him in the bathroom? where they likely have a changing station.
Somebody
She
said
never
that already.
mentions that he had a blowout or some sort of, because that's when, you know, like the poop will come out. She just smelled that he needed a diaper change. So why not bring him into the store? Why do it in the car? Some people are like, okay, I could see maybe it's quicker, it's easier than looking for the bathroom inside the store. The store is probably big. You got to walk further. She's trying to pop in and out. But still, and in a non-remarkably bright moment, one of Rebecca's family members tries to defend all of this by stating it's because Emmanuel didn't have his vaccines yet, so Rebecca would never bring him out of the car. And that was all they said about it. So a few things with that is, what do you mean? She just leaves him in the car unattended? Like, what was her plan going into Big Five? Change his diaper and then walk into the store while he waits in the car? Secondly, a lot of netizens start stringing together the very obvious threads of suspicion, like the fact that a lot of abusive parents do not take their children to be vaccinated because they know that a lot of the signs of abuse are too big to ignore for pediatricians.
Woo!
But there are other questions too. Rebecca states that she pulls into the parking lot, she's about to go in, about to change the diaper, that whoever kidnapped Emmanuel either took a chance that this specific car had a child in it, and that nobody was in the back seat or the passenger seat. Nobody would be able to help Rebecca. There was not another adult there. And that this Big Five store doesn't have cameras. Somehow manages to kidnap the kid without evidence of some larger premeditated operation. It's a lot of luck for a shitty person. It doesn't make sense. There are reports that Big Five employees have told journalists, and if true, the authorities as well, they say the couple are just straight up lying. They say earlier in the month, they came in asking if the shop had surveillance cameras because their car had been broken into and they wanted to see if they could catch the culprit.
Oh, that is not good.
And if that's true, it's even weirder that Rebecca would allegedly, not really, but allegedly, change his diaper in the parking lot where her car was broken into.
Oh my God.
Because if your car was broken into in that parking lot, you would feel unsafe. But now you're going to change your baby's diaper with the door wide open in this area. Another.
For her to get a black eye on her tie, someone would have to be left-handed for the punch she landed on, right? I mean, man, honestly, the black eye is definitely a commitment. Yeah. It's definitely a commitment because it's kind of crazy. This story, for some reason, that's the second time I'm going to refer to the book that I just read, the last true crime book that I read. But like in that book, some crazy shit happened. The type of stories that nobody would ever believe happened to this woman. She comes back from work. Her husband, there's a man, there's a basically a killer in I know she come back from work. She goes in the room of her child because she always does that when she come back from work. The child is not in the bed, so she freaks out. She goes in the kitchen because she hears noise coming from the kitchen. She arrives in the kitchen and there's her husband sitting on a chair with a man pointing a gun at him, and basically the person says to the woman, if you do everything that I say, everything is gonna be fine. And then he takes, because she's a cop, so he takes her gun and shoots the husband and goes. And basically, the daughter is nowhere to be found. The cops arrive and they're like, "What the fuck happened?" Like the woman, she has been beaten up, and so basically, she has to create this entire storyline about how she ended up being beaten to an inch of her life, why her kid is missing, why is her husband dead on the floor. And in the end, we find out that a lot of these things were staged. Not because she was guilty, but because some crazy shit actually did happen to her. But the whole her being beat up to an inch of her life, like several broken ribs, a fucking broken face, like she had to call someone, and that person literally beat her ass to make it look realistic enough. You know what I mean? So I'm like, in this story, did someone punched her to make it look realistic? And if they did, it's not very smart because if she was hit from the back, how the fuck did she end up with a black eye? She should have like a bump on her head. She should have probably went to the hospital for like a concussion or something. But the black eye doesn't make sense. because she didn't see anything.
Another alleged employee from the Big Five store writes online, she did not have her baby on the day of the alleged kidnapping. The public has the right to know this woman has lied about having a baby with her when she didn't.
Damn.
But what is getting ignored, other than all of these questions, are also the calls coming in from the missing kid flyer. There are 2 phone numbers listed on that flyer, Jake and Rebecca, and neither of them are picking up any of the calls. Turns out Rebecca actually disconnects her phone number after these flyers go out, which is sufficiently suspicious. It's argued that she had to. Her mom is like, no, Rebecca had to because people were calling her and leaving her death threats because they didn't believe her story, and it felt like she was behaving strangely in the interviews with media. Which some netizens agree, but I would say majority of netizens think that's insane. Because no matter how many death threats you get, if there's a chance that there is one legitimate phone call that brings you closer to bringing your 7-month kid home, I don't think people will care.
Yeah.
Why not keep your phone on? Jake does not disconnect his phone, but he just stops responding.
Damn.
At one point, the absence of all of these statements, the absence of any answers to these questions that make any sense, they decide that there's going to be another family representative. Rebecca's mom, Mary, she starts talking for Rebecca.
So Rebecca's mom and Jake's sister, they're all outspoken.
Yes.
They're all supporting the couple.
Seems like it, or at least at that point. Mary does a few interviews and she tells the news.
They're not going to hurt that baby. That couple were just homebodies.
She later tells reporters that Emmanuel is Rebecca's pride and joy and that she waited years to finally have a baby of her own. Which is weird because Rebecca has 2 kids from a previous marriage and she has a 2-year-old daughter with Jake Caro. So Emmanuel is her youngest. She has a 2-year-old daughter. So maybe she meant she was waiting to have a son, because it seems that her 2 previous kids from the previous marriage are daughters, and she has a 2-year-old daughter, and maybe she was waiting years to have a son, but it's just weird. Regardless, Mary says that without Emmanuel, Rebecca is just, quote, she's just going crazy. She can't handle it anymore. She's been without her baby since yesterday afternoon. If you have my grandson, please give it to his mom. She's going crazy. Please have mercy on her.
Oh, this is only 24 hours in?
Yeah.
They disconnected their phone 24 hours in?
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Red sauce, guacamole. It's like a Taco Tuesday
Tide
disaster.
now?
These are my arch enemies in the kitchen and in...
Bro, Stephanie is just out there collecting fucking sponsors. Like, Tide? Good for her. But her channel is so popular. Like, everybody probably would pay her a lot to get a fucking ad break. But Tide?
When my family and I opened Grandpa Mango's art studio for a...
Shopify, I've seen that one before. Guilty? I mean, look. I'm not doing true crime. Reacting to true crime is good enough for me. I'm not doing, like, I can't. I rather listen to someone do all the work and research because I'm not doing that shit. It's nope. The amount of time that you have to spend online trying to find terrible shit to talk about or to raise awareness for, I'm way too sensitive for that. I can barely handle these episodes.
A lot of the updates from this case have been broken by a boots-on-the-ground journalist named Ahmed Belozo, who goes by On the Tira on TikTok. He is almost always the first on the scene. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the night, in the middle of a blazing heat storm. He's also going through cancer treatments, and he deserves a lot of the credit in this case. On the same hand, though, I will say there has been lots of controversy and discourse about how there will be news that's broken that is later turned out to not be correct. I think sometimes when you have boots on the ground reporting, especially with people who are reporting through social media, I'm not saying that they're lesser or not as lesser. Like mainstream media, you get the vibe, but it's just there's a lot more passion, which I think is necessary for cases. But sometimes there are moments where things are incorrect and the public is misled and there will be a report that is ultimately not true. But the thing with...
we've seen that happen a lot lately with that dude who got popped in a college campus. Like, the right is saying that it's a trans person. Turns out he only had a roommate to use a fucking filter once on TikTok. nothing to do with transgender. So like, there's a lot of these things happen a lot. The problem is the people who need to know the truth usually don't care about the facts. So that's
on the Tira is he always corrects himself, which is very commendable. So if he reports something that everybody was saying is true and he realizes it's not true, he will be one of the first ones to be like, hey guys, I'm so sorry about that. That's not true. So I've taken it all down. I think he means incredibly well. He's very passionate about this case and he's done a lot for his community as well as for this case. There have been some reported tensions between a lot of social media reporters and the police, however.
Oh. I mean, that's not.
Police
I feel like
police didn't like people talking about it online so much.
Because there were numerous false reports, so the police were pretty cutthroat about how much they didn't like this. And then I think it's not on the Tira, and people like on the Tira. I think the police have a problem with this case. Got so weird that a TikToker decided that they were going to do tours of the Haro residence later when it's vacated. And they were just breaking and entering into the Haro residence to give tours and charging people money. So I think the police's anger is targeted at those types of people on social media. But
what do you mean charging people money?
What the fuck?
Like, hey, if you want to go into the empty Haro residence while it's empty right now, give me $10.
What the fuck?
I'll take you in there.
Yeah, because I've already broken the back door.
And people will do it?
Yeah.
Of course.
I don't know if they were successful in getting in, but it seems like people were trying to get it.
Huh. Okay.
Now, on the Tira goes to interview Mary, the grandmother. And in the interview, Mary states, I'm Mary. I'm the mother of Rebecca's mom. Or I'm, Rebecca's mom. That's how she said it.
Please help us find him. If you have him, please return him. We don't want nothing. We will not do anything. Just leave the baby somewhere where we can find him, somewhere that is safe for him.
His mother?
She's not doing good, she's heartbroken,
She was injured.
Yes, she was injured. She was knocked out.
There's no video?
No video. Store doesn't have video.
On the Tira asks the appropriate questions, the ones that mainstream media were not asking, like, how long was she unconscious when she was knocked out? Nobody knows. Furthermore, like, what do you mean there was no CCTV cameras, no witnesses? It doesn't make sense. She's like, well, I don't really know what's going on with the case. They haven't told us anything. That's the worst thing. They don't tell us nothing. Keep your eyes open for this baby, please.
I mean, chances are, because of the way the social media is handling it, the cops are most likely not going to release anything until, like, I don't know, until they're sure, I guess, because, like, they obviously cannot trust a lot of social media people. And yes, we live in a very cloud-heavy society. So people be doing the dumbest shit for clout. So I don't know, but I feel like if they do know things, I doubt they're gonna tell anyone until like they make an arrest. That would make sense. Ultimately, I feel bad for the fact that from the get, because if she is innocent, if this woman is innocent, I feel terribly bad for her because of the way the internet decided to just treat her. Like, if she's innocent, this is all very tragic. If she's guilty in any fucking way, shape, or form, ma'am, next time, I don't know, hire a fucking acting coach. Like, holy moly, this whole thing is so tragic because ultimately, the only thing that matters is the fact that there's a missing child, and this child is most likely fucking dead by now. Like, that's so fucking sad. He was only 7 months old. He just got here. And he's dead. Oh, this is so fucking disgusting.
Please, we just lost another grandson. We just buried a grandson last Tuesday, but we can't go through this again. Please just bring us the baby. Just tell us where he's at. Just leave him somewhere safe. To provide some context, I know you're looking very shocked. The baby, the grandson in question is an adult. Oh. I mean, still not great, but
wait, somebody died in the family?
Yes, Rebecca's sibling's son, but he was an adult.
Unrelated.
It appears that he overdosed on fentanyl.
Oh.
Now, as much as she's being very vocal about finding Emmanuel, it appears that she has updated her Facebook since his kidnapping and hasn't really posted much about Emmanuel. Furthermore, during all the media interviews, the grandma doesn't cry either. So Rebecca's not crying, Jake's not crying, and Rebecca's mom, Emmanuel's grandmother, is not crying.
That's really not
and
a family
according
of
to
criers.
On the Tira, Mary has never even met Emmanuel before in the past 7 months.
Wow.
Another part that's very contentious, because after all of this is just like floating in the air, people have all these questions, and they decide, you know, now that we think about it, that black eye is weird. It's weird. It's very prominent when she does the media interviews asking for help. One person comments, usually for an injury like that, the first 24 hours, your whole eye is kind of swollen shut. But you're not going to have this like brown outline. You're not going to have, it's not going to look like a black eye. It's going to look just like a bee stung your eye.
Bam.
It's swollen. It's red. The bruising isn't going to show up for probably close to like 3 to 4 days. And it's not even just that. This color of bruising, this almost yellowish on the outer corners, that's near the process of healing.
Yeah, yeah. But is it a real bruise?
Yes. It is a real black eye.
Oh, you were saying
looks
that
old.
It's been there?
Yeah. It looks like it's been there for a minute. So far, everything has been suspicious, right? Everything is weird. But you could be like, well, body language. Well, you know, maybe there's a language barrier. Well, maybe this, maybe that, right? Maybe it's a coincidence. The black eye is just medically not sound. A lot of medical professionals are saying that just doesn't make sense. Like if I saw that in the hospital, if a patient had that, I would never in a million years think that that was from the past 24 hours. Like this is just not how the human body works.
Mm-hmm.
So if the black eye is not from the day of the alleged kidnapping, that would be the very first tangible piece of information to indicate that something is definitely not right. Additionally, there are some reports of witnesses who knew Rebecca who said that, actually, we've seen her with this black eye since August 3rd. She reported a kidnapping August 14th. But what does that mean? I mean, maybe she already had the black eye that was healing, and then she did get punched in the face and got knocked out, but it didn't cause another black eye? Or maybe she wasn't punched in the face, in the eye. Maybe she was punched somewhere else and she just kind of correlated the two because she had pain in her eye. Maybe, right? It doesn't mean anything. So she was allegedly seen with a black eye August 3rd. There was a funeral held August 5th for another family member. Apparently she had the black eye then too, but she didn't have Emmanuel at the funeral. Her excuse was, again, he hasn't been vaccinated yet, but it's just strange. A lot of people say, actually, we haven't seen Emmanuel since the beginning of August.
Keeping the child.
What's happening? There have been other unconfirmed reports from the alleged Big Five incident where an employee has allegedly come out to say she had that black eye prior to the incident. A manager asked her if she was okay, and she happily said that she walked into a wall and had a laugh. Also, that time when she came into the Big Five store was weeks before Emmanuel went missing, and she had no baby with her. Naturally, netizens start to begin to suspect that Jake is the one that gave her the black eye, and he must have done something to Emmanuel as well. Even in the interviews, people notice that not only are the couple not really comforting each other, even at times where they appear to be comforting each other, she is oriented away from Jake. Rebecca is consistently turned away from him, and he doesn't really turn towards her either. Some people think that she appears to be in fear for him. So 10 days after Emmanuel was reported missing, he's still not found, and it's pretty evident that the authorities aren't really hopeful. The search starts focusing mainly on the mountain areas of the Freeway 60. I mean, you can just imagine that there's not going to be a 7-month-old baby that is surviving 10 days out there. It's like a mountainside. The police are focusing their search there. But more pertinent than that is that the police are not alone. Someone led them here to look for Emmanuel, and that someone is wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Bruh.
Jake Haro, Emmanuel's father, a new inmate at Larry D. Smith Correctional Facility, is out there looking for Emmanuel's body. Because 2 days before this search, the DA decides that they're gonna have a press conference, and they say that they were looking for Emmanuel. They pulled the CCTV cameras from nearby stores because Big Five didn't have their own working cameras in the parking lot. There were other stores. There were stores across the street. They go through footage and it's pretty instant. They think Rebecca is hiding something. They know that she knows more than she's letting on, and she knows that they know that. Once they get the surveillance footage, Rebecca stops cooperating. She instantly shuts up. stops cooperating, refuses to take a polygraph, which is like the least suspicious thing, I think, when you refuse to take a polygraph. But it is the most suspicious thing if you're the 7-month-old's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Billboard, that could very
I guess
much
I'm
be
conflicted
that.
because I am a
Which is
staunch
tragic.
supporter of do not take a polygraph, do not talk to police without an attorney present. I probably would lawyer up in this situation, but I think I would take a polygraph because if a loved one is missing, the more time the police spend investigating me when I didn't do anything is less time that they're looking for my loved one.
Yeah, but like you said, right, you never want to, you know.
But I think because of everything else, it's weird.
Exactly.
Forensic teams are seen going in and out of the Hara house, and it's reported that police have found, quote, a substantial amount of blood inside the house. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office makes a statement. Numerous interviews have been conducted. Search warrants have been served. Digital and electronic evidence has been collected and closely analyzed. Based on the evidence, investigators determined a kidnapping in Yucaipa did not occur 8 days after Emmanuel is reported missing.
When Rebecca Haro reported that her son had been kidnapped, folks, within 24 hours through video surveillance, we found inconsistencies in Rebecca's statement.
Rebecca and Jake are arrested for Emmanuel's murder. Jake Mitchell Haro and Rebecca Renee Haro are charged with willfully and unlawfully murdering their baby Emmanuel with malice. With the Riverside DA, Mike Hestron, saying that they do not believe Emmanuel is alive. So not only do they think that he is dead, but that he suffered prolonged abuse prior to his death.
7 months.
The filing in this case reflects our belief that baby Emmanuel was the victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of the abuse, he succumbed to his injuries.
But what about the other children? Like, what happened to the other children? Because they have a few children, so did we see proof of abuse on the other kids? Like, what's happening with that? Like, the other kids must have seen something. God damn it. What's the point of spending 9 months with a baby inside of you, painfully giving birth to that baby, putting your life at risk giving birth to that baby just to beat it to death? I don't understand. That's so much work. That's so much work just for that. What the fuck? I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, what the fuck is the point? Dove, yes, they are. They are very frustrating. I'm fucking annoyed right now. And yes, polygraphs are not reliable. It is 100% true that they are not reliable. But, personally, with the presence of my lawyer, if I was accused of killing my fucking child, and they're like, would you pass a polygraph test? I'd be like, yeah, I have nothing to hide. Fuck, like, I did not kill my kid. So, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna pass your polygraph test and prove that I did not kill my kid. You know, they find that baby. That baby is dead. That baby's dead. Oh. If they find him, they're gonna find a body. But I don't think they're gonna find that baby alive.
There are also unconfirmed reports that Rebecca and Jake had gotten rid of all of Emmanuel's clothes and photos of him. Because when they conducted that search warrant, that was the report that started coming out. They had no clothes of Emmanuel. They had no photos of Emmanuel inside that house.
None?
It's like he never even existed, which is pretty ballsy because either they hate being confronted with what they've allegedly done or they're genuinely just ready to move on. October 12th, 2018. This is 7 years ago, before Emmanuel goes missing, before he was even born. Jake goes to the police with an iPad. It's about his second wife, Vanessa. Jake has been married 3 times. The first wife served restraining orders on him. The second wife, he gets arrested with. The third wife is Rebecca. He also gets arrested with her. But he's saying, hey, something really bad happened to my second wife, Vanessa. He sits down with the investigators and he's like showing them this iPad. My sister actually was the one to find this. She picked it up and was going to Google something, but it was already open on a search tab. And he shows the investigators the iPad. And sure enough, at 1:19 a.m., there's a search that, the search is weird. The only ones that have access to this iPad are Jake and his wife, Vanessa. This Google search obviously wasn't made by him. He's like, I did not touch this iPad at 1:19 a.m. So obviously it must have been Vanessa. And the police are asking him, do you think Vanessa is capable of this Google search and all of this? And he's like, if you had asked me 8 years ago, 8 months ago, I would have said no. But now I think she's capable. The Google search on the iPad reads, is it hard to feed an infant with fractured ribs?
Okay.
October 12th, 2018, a medically unsound incident takes place at Jake's house. Jake and Vanessa are taking care of their young infant daughter who happens to be sick. She's 10 weeks old, so she's tiny. This is a little baby girl. We're going to call her Baby A. In less than 24 hours, this baby is going to go from having a fever and being sick to being in the emergency room with an acute fracture of the posterior left fifth rib, healing fractures of almost all of her ribs, a skull fracture, brain hemorrhaging, significant soft tissue swelling in the neck, and a healing tibia fracture on the right leg.
What the fuck?
The doctors noticed that this little baby had suffered from at least 2 seizures, which would have been incredibly painful, and she was having difficulty breathing. When the couple, Jake and Vanessa, get to the hospital, Jake's whole explanation for this would statistically rival the chances of going on a flight to Montana, but then getting sucked into a black hole in space and spit back out on the set of Barbie. Like, it's just crazy. His explanation for all these injuries is, well, you know that like middle divider in the kitchen sink? You know how the kitchen sink, there's a middle divider, and then you got one side of the sink and then the other side of the sink?
Yeah.
Well, the baby fell onto that divider, chest first.
How?
So he decided because his daughter was sick, he was going to give her a bath in the kitchen sink. At one point, he was holding her up to rinse the soap from her, and she slips out of his hands, falls onto that middle divider, and her chest hits.
And you didn't call the fucking 911?
He didn't see any major injuries. She seemed fine. It was a little slip and fall here and there. What's that to worry about for a 10-week-old? He does nothing. Vanessa gets home, he says nothing. It's not until the middle of the night Vanessa is checking up on their daughter and she starts shaking Jake awake because, hurry, feel her back, something's weird. Sure enough, he feels her back, this 10-week-old, and he feels a crackling noise like popcorn. Jake's like, I never felt that all day, so it must have been Vanessa that did something. And look at this iPad search. She was trying to feed her with fractured ribs. According to court documentation, the declaration in support of the arrest warrant, the doctor treating the little girl clearly has a difference in opinion from Jake with no medical degree. She states, findings of intracranial hemorrhaging are consistent with acceleration-deceleration forces of the head with traumatic stress on the neck. The skull fracture is consistent with impact to the head. Multiple rib fractures are typically caused by a squeezing mechanism of the chest. The healing tibial fracture is likely secondary to a traumatic twisting mechanism. Effectively stating, the history of a short fall onto the kitchen sink does not explain her extensive and severe head trauma or her multiple rib fractures. Those are indicative of abuse, head trauma and physical abuse and nutritional neglect. Jake Haro is arrested for willful child cruelty and pleads guilty, along with his wife. This is very interesting because he was not offered a plea deal. You can plead guilty without having a plea deal.
Right.
Okay, so when you're offered a plea deal, your attorney are typically working with the prosecutors and you're trying to get the most advantageous plea deal.
Oh, good. Even if it's the remain to bury that baby with dignity he never got from his parents, facts. You can be a parent, just give the baby to adoption. You know, the crazy thing is, like, even with adoption, you don't even know where the baby's gonna end up. Like, you cannot trust the fucking system. You can even trust adoption agency because they're literally, it's $1 billion a year business. Adoption is literally, and that's coming from an adopted kid, okay? In some cases, adoption is literally legal child trafficking. Like, it's actually crazy the way some adoptions are made, and it shouldn't be the way they are. So, like, if you cannot have a fucking kid, don't have one. Abortion is there for a reason. People some people hate abortion, but I'm like, I'd rather abort a baby that I know I can't take care of than hearing about a case like this where the baby was born just to be beat up. Like, I don't see how that's better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how that's better. The baby could have just not been born, and so all that suffering would have been avoided. But instead, that baby was born, and it was born for no reason other than to be somebody's punching bag. That's crazy. That's insane. So, like, I can't. Oh boy. It's all about protecting the kids until the kid is here in the world, dead ass. No, it's all about it's. I call these motherfuckers pro-birds to disgust me. Most likely, the husband killed him, but the wife is equal at fault because she should have told the police. It's a theory. Even adoption agencies are gamble. Some people need to have psychological testing before they can have a baby. Absolutely. But the problem with that is that adoption, in a way, adoption is hard because not everybody can adopt. But in another way, in some cases, it's clearly not hard enough. So it's like, on one hand, yes, we want these kids who don't have a home to have a home, but there's cases where these kids have a home and the home is just fucking disgusting. So it really is a gamble. Whether it's the foster system or adoption, it's always a fucking gamble. Why were they allowed to be out and about? I mean, it was 8 years ago. If the child survived, I mean, I don't know yet if the child survived, but if the child survived, my guess is, I don't know. Actually, my guess is, I don't know. I'm gonna have to finish this story. So he dropped the baby like a goddamn doll. Yeah. How was this man free after nearly ending his own kid? Damn. You gotta treat babies like a porcelain doll. Bro, every time I see a newborn or just a baby in general, I'm like, don't come near me. I'm clumsy. If anything happened, I will never be able to live with myself. I'm not gonna be able to live with myself. If anything happened to a baby because my dumbass thought that I could hold, like the rare time that I've held a baby, I was like, oh my god, 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 oh my god. Take it back. Like I don't want nothing to happen. It's terrifying. Babies are so fragile, so fragile. They are literally porcelain doll. They are too fragile, and it's very stressful. So like to hear these stories about babies who have broken ribs and things like, come on, god damn, what is the point of giving birth if you're just gonna treat your baby like a fucking punching bag? This is not, it's so useless. It's so dumb. It's so much work just to be a useless breeding piece of subhuman shit who's gonna beat up a fucking baby. Come on. Taking kids from parents who want them and keeping children with their awful parents because they're not past tense. The quality of life of a child is always more important than them being alive, point blank. Yes, Del Frost. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Because it's one thing to be alive, it's another to actually have a life. Babies are so fragile. They need so much to have a good development. And it's not fair that babies are being born just to end like this. Like I personally don't necessarily always like I'm not a fan of kids because they're loud, they scream, and I'd hate screaming children because I have PTSD from my orphanage. But that doesn't mean that I want them to be hurt. Children should always have a good home, good parents, a good parent figure, and eat as much as they need. And they need a good environment to fucking develop. But hearing babies dying, like it's hard. It's very hard. Plus, I'm also annoyed because of all the stories that I hear coming from Palestine, where children are also being murdered by snipers when they're not being bombed and losing limbs. Like all these that suffering, it's too much. It's fucking too much. People have kids all the time without a plan. It's one thing to have a kid without a plan. It's another to be trash. Like some people have kids without a plan and they make it work. You can have a kid and not plan for a kid and still make it work and be a good parent. But just because the kid is not planned doesn't mean that you get to treat that kid like trash. No kid. I mean, I want a goober, but children's safety and rights should always be prioritized. Yes. And like a strand of hair on an infant finger can cause necrosis. There's no way in hell I'm holding a baby. A strand of hair on an infant finger? God damn. The story, bro. The people we need to care about the Gaza are not giving flying fucks. So every day I just log in on Twitter to see people getting blown up. It's rough. They're also having children in Palestine. It's not a good idea to do that in a war zone. You think they don't know that? You think they don't know that? Statistically speaking, the poorest people are usually the ones who have the most kids. That's the statistic, which is why Africa is still full of people. The poorest people are always the one having the most kids. And well, I mean, the genocide has been done. It's been what? How long? Has it been a year or 2 years? Regardless, uh, it doesn't really matter at this point because they're all dying. So. And I also feel like because of the state of Palestine right now, even if they wanted to have an abortion or they wanted to have like an abortion pill or if they wanted to have anything, they can't. Nothing gets through. They can't even get food and water. So they won't be able to get anything that can help them with contraception. Ryzen, you think they don't try? Like we're talking about millions of people, and they don't even know where to go because Egypt won't even take them in anymore. They have nowhere to go. And the crazy thing is, every time they are told to move somewhere, they just get bombed to the place that they were told to go. And then they were told to move somewhere else, and they get bombed there as well. And then they move somewhere, they get bombed there. Like it's actually insane. And again, we're talking about millions of people. Millions. It's not like just a small town of 40 people. We're talking about millions of people, and hundreds of thousands have already moved. Hundreds of thousands have already tried to go away. Not a lot are even able to make it out, like to other countries. It's hell. It's not like they don't wanna, they can't. And because of also the medical state of it all, the famine and the lack of everything, some of them don't even have the strength to even walk or go anywhere. Like it's a mess. You really think that Israel, the motherfuckers who are responsible for this entire shit, are letting them in? They don't. They're not. They're not. They don't give a fuck. They want Palestinians to be eradicated. So Israel is not taking them in because they don't care. They want them gone so they can start fucking building resorts and shit. They do not care. They can't go to Jerusalem because even before they were getting bombed to death, you needed a permit to go to Jerusalem, and Israel was very wishy-washy with who would get a permit and who wouldn't. It's an apartheid state, and now it's a genocide apartheid state. Palestinians have no rights. They have nothing. So yeah, so much bigger systematic issue concerning being educated, sexual safety, physical safety, cultural impact, and religious impact. You can say sexual. Pretty sure I did. I undid the censor thing. Getting out of a country for someone who has a job is tough. To try and immigrate to another country where they don't speak the language and need to raise a baby, yeah, it's also tough. I always find religion a double-edged sword. Religion gives people hope. Downside of religion is also start fighting argument. Not to mention most religions look down on abortion and stuff. Yeah. I'm not a religious person because I always felt like religious people are fucking hypocrites most of the time. Like you go on Twitter and you're gonna look at the people with a fucking profile where they say God above all just for them to say the most disgusting, racist, transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic shit. Like, bitch, who the fuck is your God? Because I know fucking way that you're seeing the pearly gates. motherfucker like that. There's no fucking way. So yeah. Starvation is an awful circumstances I wouldn't wish on anyone. As someone who lived through it and had to walk 10 kilometers just to get to work, even that was hard. I have all the sympathy for people in those situations. I haven't been there. I mean, the last time I was starved it was before I got adopted. So, yeah. And obviously, well, no, nobody should go through that. But it's used as a shield for personal bias and views rather than extension of view of life. Yep. Yeah. I don't really like religion in general.
You're trying to get, okay, the prosecutors are going to tell the judge, we recommend this sentencing, and the judge will usually follow that. When you just plead guilty without a plea deal, it's just all up to the judge. The judge gets to do whatever he freaking wants to Jake and his then wife, Vanessa, the little girl's parents. And in a decision that confuses people, as much as they want to... you want to force feed the criminal justice system like 5 gallons of bleach, because Jake pleads guilty and he is given 180 days in a work release program. So not even jail or prison.
How?
He's given a suspended 4-year sentence.
You know, it's crazy because the United States is known to have the worst prison sentence. Well, not the worst, but like, do not have a very good like justice system in general. But people be getting locked up to steal shoes for 20 fucking years. Well, I mean, what black people. And this Latino dude gets a few months of work release for nearly killing a few weeks old baby. Some people get through the justice system crack, and it's always the people who shouldn't be getting through the fucking system's crack. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's always the motherfuckers that needs to be locked up that somehow manage to be lucky enough to have a motherfucking judge that doesn't seem to give a fuck. Like, what the hell? Like, cause it's and I hate to be that person, but you know that if this was a black father, they would have thrown him under the jail and thrown away the key. But that's just me, though.
Meaning he doesn't have to be in prison, and ordered to attend a child abuser treatment program and like 20 hours of community service.
You got a slap on the wrist.
Not even a slap on the wrist. I feel like that. I don't even know how you categorize that. You don't even like. I think he spent 1 day in jail.
Bruh.
Wow. Like that's not normal for these type of.
It's not.
So what the hell is going on?
And I'm always a little confused by cases like this because, I mean, sure, I think that we can all agree we are kind of a diabolical nation. We tend to make everything political. Basic human rights are also political. Sometimes judges will make some heinous decisions because that's how they align themselves politically. Or they're friends with lots of rich people, and these rich people are doing some crazy things and they want to protect those rich people. However, I was under the impression that child abusers, especially... And this is like weird to say because, I mean, we all know that people protect the wealthy. So if you've got a wealthy child abuser, you have this nerve-wracking feeling of like, okay, they might get away with it.
I mean, the president is in the Epstein files. This country has allowed multiple fucking mass shooting in schools and pre-care. This country does not give a fuck about kids. They only care when it's a white supremacist, misogynistic, transphobic piece of shit who gets popped for his opinion. Now it's a national crisis and the whole world needs to fucking give a fuck. But when it's children, fully, who cares? A regular Thursday. So, you know what? In hindsight, I'm not surprised. If the child was a white supremacist, transphobic, misogynistic piece of shit, maybe the judge would have cared. But he was not. He was just an innocent child, so who cares, right? I don't think any country really gives a damn about kids. They just use as an excuse to justify adult crap. They are used as an excuse a lot. I know, but still.
What is this one all about?
Exactly. I feel like
who are they protecting?
Jake Harrow is a free communal soccer ball left at the park that everyone gets to kick around free of charge. And as a judge, if you throw the book at this random child abuser, I cannot imagine anything but praise coming the judge's way. Who would object? It's odd behavior that I cannot relate to. Even the prosecutor told the judge to please reconsider and stated to the judge that they firmly believe this is a case that deserves a lengthy prison sentence. I don't believe it should be controversial anymore to petition that every judge not be allowed to use honorable in their title, because this is not honorable. And just to piss everyone off more, Jake even later comments on the sentencing for this that he felt it was, quote, fair. Yeah.
Wow. What about the ex-wife? Same thing?
Same thing. Now, Baby A's family have given news networks consent to share these photos, and as a warning for what Jake Harrow is capable of doing. She is just 10 weeks old in these photos. This is after the abuse. She's in the hospital. She's just like hooked up to machines. And I think it's always hard to see children in hospitals because the machines just look so abnormally big compared to their tiny little bodies. And one of Vanessa's cousins, so Vanessa is the mother of Baby A, and the second wife, one of Vanessa's cousins ends up adopting Baby A and another son that they had together. And she is raising them as her own, which hasn't been easy. The son has fetal alcohol syndrome, which means Vanessa was drinking throughout the entirety of her pregnancy for actually both of her children. However, it did not seem that Baby A had fetal alcohol syndrome, but it's I guess it's something netizens are wondering. But Baby A is older now. She's 7 years old. She is blind. She is unable to walk. She's unable to talk or swallow due to damage from being strangulated at that young of an age.
You're kidding me. These are all from the injury?
Yeah. She only has 3% of her brain function. She needs full round-the-clock care for the rest of her life. She uses a feeding tube. I mean, Jake nearly killed this baby, and they let him go. So then he has 2 more babies with Rebecca, and it seems like he killed Emmanuel. Vanessa's cousin since...
Okay, but like... I had like a 1 fraction of second of hope when I heard that the child was still alive, just for that to be just like, at this point, the child would have been better off like dead. Like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? What is that? That's not a life. That child is never gonna have a normal life. That is literally not a life. What the fuck? See, I know that this is bad because you can never trust the government to do shit ever. But I really do believe that people like this man need to be castrated. You can't be allowed to procreate anymore. Like, there's no fucking way that why? You shouldn't be allowed to procreate. Like, you have to be castrated. You don't deserve the gift of life. You deserve to die yourself. But I mean, that's also another problem. Like, the death penalty is also kind of problematic because of the innocent people who end up in death row. But like, ultimately, I mean, take away this man's ability to fucking procreate. That's already a start. Because I don't understand. And oh my god, I don't get it. These people don't care. But it's for me. It's just the act of spending 9 months carrying a motherfucking kid. It's not easy to be pregnant, especially starting months like 6, 7. Like, it get rough. There's a lot of things that you can't do anymore. You become almost disabled, as Cardi B said. So like, for what? Like, that's the part that gets me. Like, you're gonna go through all of that and the pain of giving birth. I don't get it. It really doesn't make sense to me. It just sounds like abuse with extra fucking step. For what? God dang. Oh my god. I think it was a genuine way to get kids like this in a pipeline of good home, bruh. If there were, the world would be a better place, but the world is not a better place, so. This is mostly used in the hope of an afterlife. People are afraid of death, so religion offers everlasting life after death or reincarnation. I'm not religious. I've just accepted there's nothing after death. Same. I don't give. I mean, death is death. To me, it's like it's gonna be over. I won't care because I'm not gonna be alive. I won't have a consciousness. I won't have a soul. I'll be gone. So I don't care. And I don't need the fear of eternal damnation to be a good person. Also, I'm not always a good person because I couldn't care less that this motherfucker just died in a college campus. See? Not a good person. But the way he died is more terrifying than what after it, honestly. Yeah, that's not even close. Bringing back medieval torture for these people, I agree. I mean, again, very unethical and slippery slope, but ultimately, I don't even know anymore what to do with these people. Pregnancy changes you entirely depending on who you are. Life altering and brain chemistry change. Why go through all of that just to use the baby you birthed as a fucking object of frustration is beyond me as well. That's like I don't get it. I really, 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 really don't get it. I cannot understand.
Jake and Vanessa can't and should not take care of baby A. She decides that she's gonna do it. So she takes them and she's been taking care of them. And she's actually just taken in a third of Jake's children. So Vanessa is the second wife.
Mm-hmm.
The two kids that Vanessa's cousin has taken are Vanessa's two kids.
Yeah, that's her cousin's kids. Yeah.
But now, the 2-year-old daughter that Rebecca and Jake Haro had didn't have anywhere to go, and so she's taken them in too. Yeah.
Wow.
And when she first saw interviews of Rebecca and Jake Haro talking about how Emmanuel was kidnapped, she immediately just had a very bad feeling that this story just doesn't make sense. I don't even know how Jake is allowed to have children, let alone be free, but let alone have children in his care after nearly killing his daughter and pleading guilty to it. So now both Rebecca and Jake have been arrested for murder with malice, and netizens suspect that the two will eventually turn on each other, probably Jake first, because that seems like what he was trying to do with Vanessa in 2018.
But you say that Jake came out of the prison to guide them to search?
Yes, so that was all over the news, and that's why people were like, this is indicative that he's gonna turn on Rebecca. He's working with the police. We don't see Rebecca out there. So it seems like he's trying to cooperate to make it throw this all on Rebecca.
Yeah.
That was the initial feeling. That is all. It gets weird.
That
People
would be
think that
crazy
they're
with his
playing mind
prior.
games right now.
Okay. So you're saying they didn't find the baby?
No, not yet.
What
to
the
this
fuck?
day.
Oh, so he came out to say, hey, let me show you guys?
Well, okay, it's very unclear of why they ended up at this place, but we do know that on the side of Freeway 60, they're looking for baby Emmanuel with the police and with Jake. He's in his prison orange jumpsuit and they're looking. We don't know if because police saw their cell phone records and were like, why were you here for so long? We don't know if it's Jake being like, oh, let me take you where I left his body and leading them on a goose chase. We don't know.
Okay, so we just saw them outside.
Yes.
That's all.
And they were searching for quite a bit of time. And this is not the only strange thing that's happening within this family. So Jake has previous child abuse convictions. If hell has a basement, Rebecca and Jake and some of Rebecca's family all live there. Because Rebecca is not the first in her family to get arrested for murder.
Mm-hmm.
Blood spatter is very difficult to get out of your clothes. You can't put it in the washer. You could wash your clothes 10 times. And it's not going to get the DNA out of it. The DNA and even evidence of the iron from the blood, it almost embeds itself into the tiny microscopic fiber elements of a shirt. And I don't care if you wash it on the sanitize cycle 10 times, most likely the police are going to be able to find out that there was blood on this.
Really? Even with bleach?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why some killers do some very weird things to try and minimize blood
burn
splatter.
the clothes.
Some will straight up wear hazmat suits, rain ponchos, or in some cases,
like Dexter,
a shower curtain. Whoever did this, whoever killed Jaylen, covered their body with a shower curtain to minimize the blood spatter.
Wow.
Rebecca's brother, James, has a girlfriend named Jaylen who was found deceased in their bathtub from a gunshot wound. He would tell authorities that she self-exited and he didn't know because he was asleep. he would be arrested for her murder and charged, convicted,
So the
and
whole
he is
family
now
is
serving
disgusting.
52 life in prison for murder. And who was supporting him throughout this entire case? His mom, Mary, the same grandma that's supporting Rebecca. She told a news outlet, I know my son is innocent and I will continue to fight for him. There's new evidence. There's a lot of new evidence. We're going to fight to get him a new trial.
Right.
We're going to appeal the conviction. We're not going to stop.
Right.
She says there should be an in-depth look into the deceased, the victim's mental health records, which...
What?
Because they're trying to argue that it was a self-exit.
So where did the shower curtain came from? You're saying
he shot her while covering himself with the shower curtain to not get blood spatter on his clothes.
Oh, that was proven in the court. You're saying, okay.
And it's crazy because other things that were proven in court is that, I mean, I think everyone deals with negative feelings and maybe sadness, but she texted her family that James had, quote, gone psycho on her, smashing the phone and screaming at her. And this is the day before she's found dead. She tells her friend around that same time that James was increasingly getting violent and erratic. At one point, he pulled his pistol out of the safe, which scared the shit out of her. But nevertheless, Mary, the mother, she goes on to create a Facebook page, something along the lines of James is innocent, free James, support James. And there's a very specific post on there that reads, Jalen suffered from a chronic condition that made it too painful for her to have intercourse. In fact, in their almost 5 years together, James and Jalen only had intercourse one time.
What the
James
fuck?
accepted Jalen's condition, saying that there were other ways that they could engage in sexual intimacy. According to Jalen, she was being treated for the condition to reduce pain and discomfort. However, the treatment never improved the condition to the degree where she could tolerate intercourse. Jalen expressed concern that she would never be able to conceive and could not provide a mate with children. The doubts Jalen must have had, the depression that a partner other than James would ever tolerate, let alone accept such sexual dysfunction. She must have had serious doubts about her romantic possibilities, and establishing other intimate relationships was never brought up at the trial. The only comments made were the condition was under control and Jalen was never depressed about it. So they're trying to argue, obviously she self-exited because she was very depressed, and she was depressed because of this. But you know who was so sweet and accepted her? James. Jamie boy.
This mom is out of her mind.
This mom is something.
It's just like a profoundly idiotic take. And I mean, I just don't really have much to comment. I mean, nevertheless, the elevator does not go all the way up, but the mouth keeps talking. James' version of events is, I'd fallen asleep. My girlfriend must have gotten into the bathtub and self-exited while I was asleep. I did, in fact, hear some noise, but I thought it was probably coming from the air conditioner. Then he notices that his girlfriend is not in bed with him, so he starts getting up and searching, and he doesn't find her for, he was searching for about 10, 20 minutes? Yeah, which sounds maybe plausible if you reside inside of the Mall of America or, I don't know, fucking Disney World, but not if you reside in a 430 square foot apartment where from the bed you get a clear and direct view into the bathroom.
Bruh.
Ultimately, James was found guilty and sentenced to 50 years to life. But even at the sentencing, he was still sticking to his story. He said, everything is my fault. You know what that everything is? My alcoholism. Because of my alcoholism, I couldn't see that she was depressed. I don't think violence is the answer, but I do think that sometimes making some very assertive contact, skin to skin, with your fist in somebody's face is maybe acceptable. Additionally, netizens dig up information on Jake's brother, who passed away in 2021, in Rebecca and Jake Carl's house. The couple were investigated by law enforcement, but they did not file any charges. So there's lots of just lots of crime, lots of death around both sides of the family.
Oh my God.
Adding a bit more messiness into everything is after Emmanuel is reported missing, before they're arrested, Jake's first wife files a restraining order on Jake. Some believe that this is to protect her son that she has with Jake, to protect herself. Others speculate that she filed this restraining order and then went to the police to say there was no football, because that's the son that was playing football that needed a mouth guard.
Oh.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
So what now? Both parents are in jail. Emmanuel has yet to be found. The first wife has filed a restraining order. The second wife is not as relevant in the sense of, I mean, she doesn't have custody of any of her kids that she shares with Jake Caro, rightfully. And Rebecca and Jake are in jail, and they're weirdly giving interviews. Rebecca says that she knew about Jake's child cruelty case, but still married him and tried to I don't know, she tried to make it seem like their relationship was okay by saying it was, quote, wonderful, and that he treats her and her 16-year-old daughter from a previous relationship really well. They have 2 kids together. Well, they did, but, she says he was a good dad. He would never hurt a baby.
Right.
Except when he nearly killed his other baby that she knew about before marrying him and then having 2 babies with him. Rebecca makes netizens want to slam their head against a wall. I feel like stupidity spares no age. It knows no bounds, even inside prison walls. However, it is infuriating that at her grown age of 41, she should have known better. Anyone should have known better than to put their kids in the direct line of danger by marrying this guy or even having kids with this guy. Even his 2-year-old daughter that was taken from his care during this whole incident, Jake tries to make it seem like everyone around him is abusive and he's just the scapegoat. He says in a jailhouse interview that when his daughter was taken from his custody, that she did not have a bruise on her, but he went to visit her later at a facility. So the daughter was taken to a facility initially before Vanessa's cousin stepped in, and he was able to visit this facility before he was arrested. So she was taken early on. He went to visit her at the facility, and he says, quote, she looked like she got hit by a truck and then reversed and ran over again. And people are like, okay, this is your way of trying to cover up that you probably did that to your 2-year-old daughter. Oh, some family members of Rebecca's side reportedly didn't even know that they had kids. They're like, I didn't even know that your kid was missing because I didn't even know you had a kid, including Rebecca's ex-husband, whom she shares 2 kids with. He didn't even know that Emmanuel existed. And this is someone that she shares 2 kids with, and they're both minors at this point. So technically, you're supposed to be co-parenting. You're supposed to kind of be somewhat present in each other's lives because of those children. It's very strange. There are some reports and speculations that the couple wanted to get rid of Emmanuel because they were embarrassed of him. A lot of netizens have noticed the pattern that most pictures of Emmanuel, none of them are taken from the front of his face. They're all from the side. And it seems like they're trying to cover up the fact that he might potentially be cross-eyed, is how a lot of people that knew him spoke about his condition. And cross-eyed becomes a new thing because a lot of netizens have connected being cross-eyed with shaken baby syndrome. Shaken baby syndrome is... It's when a baby is violently shaken. They will suffer severe brain injuries. It's a severe form of abuse. I believe 1 in 3 babies that are killed is due to shaken baby syndrome. So people think that perhaps he had shaken baby syndrome, which caused the cross-eyedness. Some people actually believe that he was blind, which is what happened to baby A after her injuries, because in a lot of the pictures, it almost looks like he's peering down almost, which people have stated that when they had children who were visually impaired, certain parts of their eyes would let in more light. And so they would kind of peer a certain way. And all of the pictures are taken of baby Emmanuel from the side. There are debates on whether or not they were embarrassed by that and they didn't like that. And maybe Jake himself didn't like that and never connected with his own child because of that and decided to the DA is asked about that. And he responds, I can't speculate. I'll repeat what I already said. We believe that Emmanuel was severely abused over a period of time. So he can't say if he had shaken baby syndrome. But both parents would have been aware of that abuse. Which, with all of this, Rebecca's saying, no, this is not true. I will not give up. I will not give up on my baby. I want to be out there looking for my baby. This is her statement from jail. When she's asked about the fact that Big 5 employees stated that she came in to ask whether or not they had cameras in the parking lot, she just reportedly shaked her head side to side. But there's definitely some strange energy. After Jake is seen cooperating with the police in his orange jumpsuit off the side of the freeway, Rebecca releases a jailhouse statement, and then there's all these reports that Jake is going to throw Rebecca under the bus, and then he finally does a jailhouse interview where he is very supportive of Rebecca. And people think he's playing mind games because for so long, so many weird things were happening. Not only was he cooperating with the police, but he lawyers up. And this lawyer is the same lawyer that he used when he almost killed his daughter, baby A. But this lawyer argues that he doesn't know why the police are saying that the Haro couple have stopped cooperating. He said, the Haro couple have voluntarily turned over all of their electronic devices, including the passwords. I think that's something huge that nobody has been made aware of. The attorney tells News Nation, I don't know where the statement that they stopped cooperating came from. I spoke with the detectives yesterday, offered for Jake to continue speaking with them, have not been made aware of any requests today to speak with Jake. I don't represent Rebecca. That needs to be very clear. But I have not been asked to produce Jake.
I have personally spent time with Jake and have seen the emotions in his face. He is not in any way running, hiding, or doing anything to exhibit any behaviors of somebody that is trying to be deceptive in this case.
People did not like that. People did not like that at all.
Okay,
and
whatever.
I don't know why this attorney is so passionate. Like, for what? He tells News Nation, Jake wants to cooperate. Jake doesn't like the fact that nobody's listening. Yeah, well, nobody gives a fuck about what Jake likes.
Right.
Some netizens argue that they don't like the fact that Jake is still breathing, but I guess we all have our own interests and dislikes.
Right?
The attorney continues to tell News Nation, even yourself, it sounds like you guys have already made up your minds. News Nation brings up Rebecca and Jake's weird interview, and the attorney just says, I saw the videos like anybody else. I can't speak for Rebecca. I can tell you that she doesn't have a master's degree, bachelor's degree, or any other degree in public speaking, so I can't speak as to that. Same thing for Jake. But it's interesting because he keeps saying, I don't represent Rebecca. I don't represent Rebecca.
You get it. You don't
and
represent
it's also
Rebecca.
interesting because at one point he says something along the lines of the day of the alleged kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually attorneys representing
Alleged
clients
kidnapping is funny.
won't throw in alleged when they're talking about their client's version of events.
Okay, right.
So that's strange, but I think with all the talk that Jake was going to turn on Rebecca, Jake finally does a jailhouse interview where he doesn't really say much at all. I think the most enlightening but unsurprising part of this interview is Jake believes that the authorities are biased. They see his child cruelty conviction from 2023, in which he, his own mouth, pled guilty to, and they assume that he's capable of doing something bad to a man.
Yes, we do. Let me catch up on these. Mary, you're already 1 foot in the grave. Why you capping, lady? So, this supposed to mean she's just a savior for accepting her for what you feel. This entire family is rotten to the core. Like, what the fuck are we even doing? This is just. Some people be acting like they're a waste of space, really. Like, I'm sorry, I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm tired. Like, this is insane. Why, with how loud a gunshot is, there is no damn way you're hearing nothing unless you're heavily induced or something. Especially if you live in a very small apartment where the bathroom is right next to the bed. The only reason you wouldn't hear something again is because as someone who sleeps extremely heavy, when I'm in deep sleep, bitch, I'm not gonna hear anything at all. I'm not hearing shit. There could be a gunfire next to me. I won't hear it, but that's because I'm sleeping in deep sleep. So that is the only thing I can sort of understand that. But again, fuck him because clearly he did it. Apparently, that's what the evidence said. But still, some people just get old and not smart or wiser. Yep. Let's have a stream on. Nothing wrong with being cross-eyed. I know, but some people are just disgusting, and they need to find every single excuse in the book to just be abusive towards children. So it was such a beautiful baby. How can you look at that baby and do that? A degree don't mean nothing for good character. Bruh. 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 I can't with these people. Ultimately, I just hope that because I know some people are prison abolitionists. I am for police reform. I am for gun reform. I am for defunding the police to fund services that will reduce crimes. But I'm not a prison abolitionist yet because, like, where the fuck are we gonna put these motherfuckers? What the fuck are we gonna do with them? What are we doing with the scum of society? They need to go somewhere away from the rest of us.
They unfairly assume that. He also says that he didn't ever hurt Baby A. He says, I pled guilty because I didn't have the money to go to trial. The judge said nobody would believe my side of the story. Somehow they magically convinced me to take this damn plea deal, which again, there was no plea deal. And again, yes, money, I think, runs the court system, but you would have a public defender. The judge knows I didn't do it. They're just railroading me. I was the fall guy.
Okay.
He also further states, Rebecca is innocent. The media is killing her. She is a beautiful woman and she loves her children. He expresses very deep disappointment that the public has not raised enough money to pay for Rebecca's bail. He also states that he did see Rebecca in the courtroom. He had gotten off the elevator. He tried to shout to her, "I love you," but, quote, "the deputy shoved me to the ground. He launched me like I was a rag doll." And he starts complaining about how he re-injured his shoulder because of that. Okay. And at the very end, he says if he could talk to Emmanuel, he would say, quote, "I love you, buddy." That's it. Now, there are rumors that in jail, Jake confessed to murdering Emmanuel, that there was a Perkins operation. So a Perkins operation is if you are charged with a crime but not yet convicted. So you're about to go to trial. You're in your little jail cell and you get a new cellmate. The cellmate is pissed off because he's also in jail for the 5th time. He's ranting to you. He's giving you little tidbits on what's the best food in jail. And then suddenly you're opening up and you're like, you know what? The cops think I fucking killed him. And guess what? I did. Turns out the person you're talking to is an undercover cop. That's a Perkins operation. So there were heavy reports, mainly coming from a major news reporter from News Nation, that this was the situation. However, with the recent press conference held by the DA's office, they said that is absolutely not true. This never happened. There was no Perkins operation. He did not confess. There was no confession. You've got it wrong, and you need to stop believing social media. So there's just a lot of unconfirmed reports and just a lot of unanswered questions, and one of them still being, where is baby
the body?
There's going to be a court arraignment, I believe September 4th. So probably around the time that you see this. I'm going to leave a pinned comment about what happens, but this is usually when the judge formally reads their charges and they will talk about their pleas. They will go through maybe some discussion about discovery, but that's about it. It's not going to be like the most enlightening court hearing or anything of that sort. I don't think we're going to get answers, but that is where we are. What are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments and stay safe. I will see you in the next one.
Woo! Lord. Lord have mercy on my soul. The world is full of people who should not exist. Hello? Okay, I don't know why I did that. But what I was saying basically is I'm not good enough at lip reading. My bad. My bad. No, I was saying maybe there is a reason why maybe there's like a solution, because usually people like, defend the police. People think, oh my god, we won't have police. No, it's not about getting rid of the police. You're still gonna have police. It's just that instead of giving police a ridiculous amount of budget, but just for them to do terrible in certain situations, we fund other services and other program that will help reduce crime and also help, especially in cases of like mental health crisis, where the police just end up shooting the person who needs to be put in a fucking mental health hospital. Also, mental health hospitals, because these things are extremely underfunded and don't have enough space. So it's a whole thing. There's need to be a whole reshaping of this fucking system. So yeah. So I don't know why I did that, but yeah, I'm back. I'm back and annoyed and disgusted. I mean, this story was like, oof. The hardest part for me was to like that 1 second of hope that I got when I heard that the 2 year the few weeks old baby survived, just for that baby to just end up basically being a fucking vegetable. Like, that shit broke me. Like, but it didn't broke me as much as the last case that I watched from this channel, which is the teen boy mutilated two girl and throw one of their head into the street. That case right here, this one, that one broke me for real, for real. That one broke me, which is why I haven't done a Get Ready With Me in a while, because that one broke me. So this one is terrible, sad, disgusting. Or maybe I'm just getting desensitized, I don't know. It would still be incarceration. It all depends on the people working there to not be shit. That too. That too. I could not finish that one. Yo! It's crazy because for that Get Ready With Me video, I started with a video from her other channel, Stephanie Soo, where she was talking about some light-hearted shit that happened in China about a TV reality show. And it was like very chill, very light. So I'm like, hey, I'm feeling relatively good. Let me go watch a video on Rotten Mango. What? 1 minute into this video, when we see the video of the mom crying, screaming the name of her daughter, looking at something on the ground that is blurred, and for her to say she's looking at the severed head of her child, I was like, okay, nah, I'm done. I had to take a minute. I was done. That was too much. Oh my god, my god, my god, my god, my god, my god. I finished it, but I was in shambles. It was rough. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. The only case that I was not able to finish is on her audio podcast, because before she started the video podcast, Rotten Mango was only available in audio format because the shit that she was talking about were not suited for fucking YouTube. And the only case that I was not able to finish is the case of Kimiko. Wait. Furata? The case of Furata, I think her last name is, in Japan. The girl who was abducted, kept in the attic, and getting raped and tortured for like a month and a half. When she said, oh, so we're at day, like, I think she's something like, we are at day 13, I was like, okay, I'm done. I stopped that right there. I'm like, 13. What do you mean we are at day 13? What do you mean we're not done? They haven't done enough to her already. There's more coming. Like, I'm done. So yeah, that's the one episode of her audio format that I did not finish. Shit broke me. Junko Furuta, yeah, that one. I don't even think, I know there was like a similar case that happened in Korea. And so because of the similarity between these two cases, she made a video about that case that happened in Korea. but she was basically talking about both cases, the Korean case and the Japanese case, at this in parallel during that video. And I think that's probably the only video I'm pretty sure that I did not finish. I'm pretty sure, or I didn't. It was rough. I don't remember, but I don't know if I, because there is only one video that I watched about Junko Furuta, and it's a 30-minute video, and that's it. That's enough for me. But the thing with Stephanie is that Stephanie will always go into details, and that's where I can't. I don't want to hear more details. I don't need to hear more details. I don't want to hear. Yeah. It's like those that make me like, all right, I'm gonna marry a woman, even though I'm no woman can be perpetrators too. I just, I'm just like, this is why the extraterrestrials won't come, because we're kind of trash as a species. We're kind of trash. So I'm not saying every single person on the planet, but I'm just saying like the things that we allow, the things that some people do, we're gonna trash. Anyway, I have to go do something. I'm gonna come back later for some video game. Woo! Sheesh! But yeah, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna come back later for some video game stream. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Get Ready With Me. I hope this episode didn't break you people. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay moisturized, no washiness, and take care of your mental health. It's extremely important. And yeah. I know I'm not a saint, but what kind of depravity people could up go crazy, I know. I was happy to see you again, The Frost. Thank you for coming and chatting me up. And you too, Silboard. I know that you're probably not hearing right now because you're eating, you're on your lunch break, but thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm come back later for some gaming. Bye bye.